You know, politicians in Albany, both in the legislative and executive branches, are more likely to leave Albany in a perp walk than they are to lose an election. I mean, that's how bad it's got in Albany, and I think everybody has seen it. And it's got worse in the last few years, and especially this year, with the coup in the Senate and now a state budget that they can't agree on. So how do we clean up Albany? I mean, obviously, we need sunlight, disclosure laws, ethics reform. I think the state legislature in particular needs to be democratized. And the way to do that is democratic rules, so rank and file legislators and committees actually have power to move legislation forward and not just on the say-so of the party leaders. But to really do that and give the power to the rank and file legislators that represent us, we've got to defund the patronage machines that are in the hands of the leaders. That means completely eliminating member items, which only began in the 1980s, and cutting down those $100 million slush fund budgets in both houses that the leaders use to reward and punish the members of their caucuses or conferences. That's the way to begin to get some democracy in the legislature and give all the legislators equal power, because they all represent us. We're supposed to have one person, one vote. We should have one representative, and they should all be equal in our legislative bodies. But there's an even deeper problem, and that is we live in a two-party system of corporate rule, a two-party corporate state where both parties are funded by big business. Their basic agenda is in interests of big business and not working people. And then they scare the hell out of us with one party, so we vote defensively against it for the other party, even though we aren't really happy with what that other party is giving us. And that kind of lesser evil voting just perpetuates corporate rule. The way we get around that is called proportional representation. Most other countries in the world use it. It means every party gets representation in their legislative bodies in proportion to the votes that support them out there in the election. So say the Green Party has the support of 30% of the people of New York. We should have 30% of the seats in the legislative body. Otherwise, we have no representation in the legislature. The way it's now with our single-member district, plurality take-all elections, every district pretty much is a one-party district. The majority enrollment, be it Democrat or Republican, controls that district. And oftentimes those incumbents run unopposed because they're hard to beat, because it's not proportional, it's winner take all. And so proportional representation is 21st century, really 20th century democracy, and we're still using 17th century election methods. You make that change, and then you move from a two-party corporate dictatorship to a multi-party democracy. And then things will begin to change because the system will be much more accountable. And on top of that, we should have voluntary public campaign financing. So it's not only rich people or politicians who are willing to do the bidding of rich people and corporations who are able to run for office. Those are the things we need to do to clean up Albany.